I haven't done this in a long time, and that is to discuss questions that are posed to us when we are using our wheelchair, especially those who might not have seen us in a long time, and all of a sudden we're in a wheelchair, and they have no clue when that happened, why it happened. So here are some tough questions that were put out by New Motion. Their global administration wrote these up, so I want to thank New Motion. I will put a spin on it, of course. So let's get to it. So to the first question, are you just sitting in that wheelchair or do you really need it? Now that can be asked by several different spins, in a funny way, in an insulting way, in a degrading way, so many different ways. Um, but, how do you answer a question like this? And you can be honest and just say, I was shot 3 years ago. Did you want to hear the whole story? you know? And you can be a little rude when you answer back. It just really depends on who's asking the question. Is this a friend that you just met? Is this a person you've known since childhood? And all of a sudden, they're asking you all these questions because they have no clue on how you ended up in a wheelchair. And you both care about each other, so you can be very open with them. So it just depends really who asked the question. So the next challenging question. Now this always makes me hit the roof. It just hits a nerve that I can't explain. But that's where we need to be more in control of our situation. And I got asked this not long ago. And again, it depends on who asked the question. But it's what's wrong with you, So it's like, oh, I hate it when they do that. But, if you're referring to the wheelchair, and then you can go ahead with your answer and put your spin on it. You can say, who the hell cares? Or, that's a pretty private question. If it's someone you don't really know, or if it's, again, a person or a family member you haven't seen in a long time and you've had a relationship with them, and then all of a sudden they see you and they're shocked and they ask, oh, what's wrong with you? So it depends on how they ask it, but I hate this question. I always have to control myself. And I just respond by saying, oh, I have a condition, a neurological condition. I can walk just a little bit, but the wheelchair helps me with the rest of my life. And I just put it short and sweet, and that's it. And then I change the topic real quick. So, and the next question they have, let me see here. Oh, yeah. When will you be able to walk again? And you're like, and you can tell them there probably will not be any cure for paralysis, for those who are full-time wheelchair users. For me, it's illness. It's a condition. It's a neurological dysfunction. So for right now, we don't have any cure. So welcome to my world. And, I just don't give any more information about it, just depending on who it is. I don't like to talk about it. It's not my favorite topic, but I try my best. Where can I buy a wheelchair like that? I've had this question asked to me in Walgreens, actually. I was sitting outside. I was waiting for my van to pick me up, and there it was. An older lady, oh, I need a wheelchair like that. Where do I get one? And I said, well, it's a serious wheelchair, so you need to start with your primary care doctor and ask the question, about a wheelchair. And then that can be discussed because, it's a medical device. and then I kind of give some pointers on how to go about, that question to the doctor, not to me. The next one is, can paralyzed people get pregnant? Now, this is a really dumb one. It's like, first of all, it's none of your business. And second of all, yes. But don't ask me about it. I don't have a boyfriend and don't plan to have one. So, and you can educate him if you want, but this is a odd question. Can paralyzed people get pregnant? Of course. Just their legs that don't work. So, a woman with paralysis, here's the answer that Emotion gave. Yes, women with paralysis and other disabilities have babies all the time. So I have 3 kids. This person who was answering, I have 3 kids that were all born after my injury. So, yes, it is possible. So, can paralyzed people have sex? Well, you could answer that. I'm not into that. So, just depends. But here the answer was yes. The next question was, how did you give birth? So, and that really depends too, depending on the condition, the risks of the birth, all that kind of stuff. So I think it's very, very individualized. If the paralyzed person has had normal births before, then, but, depending on the risks of the birth, they might need cesarean. So who knows? Last question, which is very good. Your partner must be a fantastic person. And I'm like, oh, good grief. I don't have a partner to begin with. And a lot of you out there don't have partners. You live by yourselves, and you handle life by yourself. Now, some people have husbands, boyfriends, girlfriends that are not paralyzed. But, you share the obligations. You're a team, and I think that's one of the things that you can say, we're really a team in life. He doesn't or she doesn't take on more the burden by any means. And then you can give them, some education on that. But to me, if you have a partner, if you have a husband or you have a partner and with your wife, you discuss things, you arrange things, you figure out, what can he do or what can you do, in the relationship. So it's not about dumping on the other person. Oh, I'm in a wheelchair, so you have to do it all. No. And sometimes that's what people think, that that you get married so that the other partner can do everything else. It's like, no, I don't think so. So these are kind of annoying questions or challenging questions, and we have to keep ourselves centered and respond kind of in a mature, educated way, that the other person doesn't take offense, because we want them to be curious and understand disabilities. We want them to understand people in wheelchairs, and if we tick them off or we shove them off or then they're never going to learn. They're never going to understand us. So to a certain degree, not all the time, but to a certain degree, it lies within us to give the best answer possible so that the people with curiosity can learn and understand. Without information, they don't understand. So that's why it's important to have channels that can explain what it's like to be in a wheelchair. And that will be different from person to person, as we know. Disability is the same way. you know, it'll be different depending on the disability, on the environment you live in, on the family that surrounds you, the friends you have, so many variants in with the disabilities. And for us, the same thing. Depends on the type of wheelchair, the support we have as wheelchair users, all of that. So there will be, what questions have been asked to you that you weren't sure how to respond, how to act, from from that question. You felt like hitting them with a baseball bat rather than answering. So, and that can happen sometimes. That absolutely can happen. But, this one, what's wrong with you? I hate that one. And that's the one that hits me in the nerve. Um, but yeah, you got to think about all the crazy questions that have been asked you. And I have a friend on online. I don't know him in person, but he has gone out in his manual wheelchair and has sat on corners with a big sign that says, "Ask me anything." So that people can come up and ask him about his wheelchair, and that's usually what they ask, about his life and the wheelchair, all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of a cool way to be able to have people, invite people to come and ask those important questions. So they're not guessing or giving wrong answers to other people. That's why there's so many assumptions out there, because people in the community don't have the right information about us. So it's important to learn, and where would be the best person, the place to learn than with us out in the community. So I just wanted to throw that out there. I want to thank New Motion for writing these questions up. There are a whole lot more that can be thrown out there that we have experienced. So if you've experienced any harsh question or off the beat question, share with us. And what was your response? Because some of us are caught off guard with some of these questions, and we either brush them off or, and what's the best attitude to approach the question? And again, it depends on where it was asked, who asked it, what was going on at the moment when it was asked. So all of that has to be part of how you answer the question. So, all right, folks, I hope everyone is well. Thank you so much for coming by, and watch the next video, and I will see you in that video.